Welcome back to another episode of Out Loud Geek, where we discuss news and views about pop culture, science fiction, fantasy, food, cooking, the outdoors, and more. Things aren't looking particularly rosy right now over at Meta, which is the parent company to Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. The company is going to be laying off 11,000 employees, which is equivalent to 13% of its workforce. And the company has also been under an extended hiring freeze, which is going to be in effect through at least the first quarter of next year. I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who has recently subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much for your support. Since Mark Zuckerberg founded Facebook in 2004, the Silicon Valley company has steadily hired more employees. At the end of September, it had amassed its largest ever number of workers, totaling well over 87,000 people. But on Wednesday, the company, now renamed Meta, began cutting jobs, and deeply. Meta said it was laying off more than 11,000 people, or about 13% of its workforce, in what amounted to the company's most significant job cuts. The layoffs were made across departments and regions, with areas like recruiting and business teams affected more than others. The divisions that were not cut as steeply included engineering workers on projects related to the metaverse, the immersive online world that Mr. Zuckerberg has bet big on. In a letter to employees, Mark Zuckerberg wrote, "I want to take accountability for these decisions and for how we got here. I know this is tough for everyone, and I'm especially sorry to those impacted," unquote. Well, I definitely feel for those who are going to be impacted by this, because I've been through this process myself, and it's not pleasant. It can be very difficult. So I sincerely hope that those being impacted won't be unemployed for very long. At least they are getting some fairly nice severance packages, which was not something that Elon Musk was doing when he arbitrarily laid off half of Twitter's workforce last week. The cuts nearly triple the number that Twitter slashed last week, though not as deep of a percentage, represent a stunning reversal of fortune for a once high-flying company whose ambition and room for growth had seemed limitless. Meta spent lavishly over the years, accumulating users, buying companies such as Instagram and WhatsApp, and showering its employees with enviable perks. Not even scrutiny over its data privacy practices and the toxic content on its apps could dent its financial performance, as its stock continued climbing and its revenue soared. At one point last year, Meta was valued at $1 trillion. And all we can do is just come over here and take a look at where the stock has been, at least since around to 2012. So over the past 10 years, the stock was steadily rising. It had a dip here. This was in 2018, and there was another dip here at the beginning of the COOF. Then it maxed out at about here in September of last year at around $376 per share. But then it slid way down here. So the value has really plummeted in a very short amount of time. I mean, where the stock is sitting right now, it hasn't been this low since around, 2015, maybe down into even 2014. So it's been about 7 years since Facebook's, or now Meta's, stock was this low. And it's understandable to see why they've taken to cutting all these jobs. When a stock goes down, that's when companies often start laying people off. But the company has struggled financially this year as it has tried to move into a new business, the immersive world of the so-called metaverse, while grappling with a global economic slowdown and a decline in digital advertising, the main source of its revenue. The new competitors like TikTok emerged to capture a younger audience, while Meta's services lost their sheen. Last month, Meta posted a 50% slide in quarterly profits, and its second straight sales decline, even as its spending soared by 19%. Its stock has dropped roughly 70% this year. And again, if we go back over here, yeah, that's just since the beginning of the year, which was about here. So the stock has probably actually slid about 77% from its high of around $379 per share back in September of 2021 to its low of about $88 just a few days ago. It's understandable to see why the company has decided to lay off so many people, which is still unfortunate for those being impacted. Mark Zuckerberg attributed the cuts on Wednesday to growing too quickly during the coup when a surge in online commerce led to a big spike in revenue. He said he had thought the shift would be permanent, leading him to significantly increase spending. Meta's number of employees at the end of September was 28% higher than a year earlier. Yeah, generally when companies grow too fast, that's oftentimes signal that there's probably going to be a layoff at some point. Many companies make that mistake. It happens all the time. On Wednesday, laid-off employees immediately lost access to most corporate systems, though their email accounts will remain active until the end of the day, so everyone can say farewell, Mark Zuckerberg said. Meta began notifying European-based employees of the cuts during their mourning, with those retaining their jobs receiving emails just minutes after those who were laid off. For those who lost their jobs in the United States, Meta said it would pay severance of 16 weeks of their base pay, along with 2 additional weeks for every year they worked at the company. Laid off workers and their families will have health care paid for 6 months. So I definitely feel bad for the people who are going to be impacted by being laid off. So definitely I have feelings for them and hope that they aren't, having to spend too much time for finding new work. This is definitely a difficult time for a lot of people. So I hope people will be a little sympathetic for those who are losing their jobs, regardless of how anyone feels about Facebook or the other social media platforms that are now facing these types of cuts. Thanks for watching today, and a huge thanks to everyone who has subscribed to our channel. We appreciate your support. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button, and please feel free to share a comment. If you'd like to see more of our videos in the future and help support this channel, please press the red subscribe button, and please press the bell to receive notifications for new content. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter by clicking on the links in the description. Until next time, this is Out Loud Geek.